It was kind of neat too, because Joe said a few words to him, and then I told him that he has been nominated for the 2019 Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that it's a heck of a chance that he's going to make it into the class of 2019 Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he seemed to be aware of the fact that something big was going on, and he was a part of it. So it was very humbling, and I'm honored to have been able to tell the great news to Mr. B.
One thing about Pat, I mean, he wasn't he didn't have the most money of all the owners, but you knew one thing: everything that he had, he was going to invest in the team. Even if he had to go out there and borrow money he didn't have, he was going to make sure you had the opportunity, because that's the only thing that was important to him. It wasn't money. It wasn't money at all. I mean, I would actually bet that Pat had no idea his net worth. I mean, he was not into it. I mean, he was into how many games we're going to win. What are we going to do to win a championship? What do you need?
It was phenomenal. Cared about his players, cared about winning, did whatever it would take for this team to have that opportunity to compete for world championships. And, I always talk about, from an ownership standpoint, I would always be in the training room Monday morning after games, and inevitably you would always see Mr. Bowlen down there talking to Greek, asking him if we need to go after anybody, asking the players how they were doing, what kind of injuries they had, do we need to go out in the free agent market and pick somebody up, what do you need from me? So yeah, he cared about his players on a deeper level than I think most owners do, and he had that kind of relationship with his players.
It's the owner. It starts with the owner. And you gotta have a good GM, you gotta have a good head coach, you gotta have a good quarterback, but it takes that owner to understand that the only chance you have to win Super Bowls is a group of people all going in the same direction.
I was watching practice when I retired, about a year after I retired, and Pat called me up to his office, and I'm scared to go to his office because I'm thinking I did something wrong. And literally we had a 45-minute conversation just about life. And to me, that was so special. A guy who was undrafted, who grew up in the projects, and here's this guy who runs a billion-dollar company, and he's having a friendly conversation with me, gave me his business card, told me if I ever need anything to contact him. And that made me feel special, because I wasn't just an employee of his. And we shared some special, not with just on the field, but Pat cared about people off the field. And I think that's a part of sports that a lot of time gets undervalued.
He was kind of one of the guys. He wanted to be one of the guys. He wanted them to understand that he was going to support them, and he wanted to know what they needed, and he was going to be with them, a certain amount every day. And he'd spend time, like on Saturdays, if it's talking about college games, and they'd stay an extra couple hours just sitting in the training room talking about whose picks and who's going to win, who lost the week before. And so he had a lot of respect by everybody that played for him.